Hey everybody, this is Ron LeGrand, and I'm excited that I'm coming to Ohio on the 7th. My friend Jay Connor and I are going to spend an entire day with you ahead of the OREIA convention on automation. And the purpose of this video is so that I can prepare you to come to that event, and maybe, just maybe, I can help you get a deal or two done while you're there. First, let me tell you a little bit about what's going to happen during that day. In case you don't know, I personally, here in my office in Jacksonville, buy 6 to 12 houses per month. I don't spend more than 5 to 10 hours a month in my real estate business, and have been doing that for quite a long time now. We're going to show you exactly what I do and what I don't do, and how we can do so many houses with such a small amount of my time, which is actually the whole purpose of the whole day. It's all about automation. My friend Jay Connor is going to come and show you how he runs his business in a city of 40,000 people, and does about 25 houses a year and nets well over $1 million a year, working less than 10 hours a week in his business, and has been doing so for 5 years running. So it's going to be a very, very exciting day for you if you really want to see how real estate should be done and how we do it to get ourselves out of the way. And I guess that's our biggest message, is to get you automated so that you can build a business that can create a ton of income without you being present all the time. But what I want to do right now is show you what I'd like to see you do, and if you'll do what I ask you to do, I tell you, there's a good chance you're going to leave with a deal or two before you leave this event. I can't think of a better way to train you than to actually work with you to help you do deals while we're training you how to do deals. Now, we're going to spend the day on automation, but in order to do that, I've also got to build the case as to what we're going to automate, how we make money in our businesses, and then we'll talk about automating each step of that way. Behind me on this board, you'll see the top of my property information sheet. I'm going to encourage you to bring a handful of these with you to class completed, and if you'll do that, I'm going to take some time in the afternoon to go through these. I'll go through them at lunch, and then sometime during the afternoon, I'll take the stage and I'll go through your deals and individually work with you on them while I'm on the stage, and you'll see what I would do, what my exit would be, whether it's a suspect or a prospect, and tell you what to do when you leave the event to go home and get that thing in writing and turn it into cash. We're working in FSBOs today. About 80% of all the revenue we do here in my office is with for sale by owners, and the market is so huge we can't even keep up with them, and I'm going to show you how to acquire these things hands off so that you have a constant supply of them, just like we do here and like Jay does. So let's go back to this sheet here for a moment. If you're getting this video, then you should be getting this sheet or access to it. Go make copies, and then make a few calls before you come, and then get this thing filled out and bring it to me so we can work together that day. Alright, so here's my property information sheet. It took me a lot of years to create this and recreate it and recreate it. So let's be clear on how I have to have it filled out in order to be able to help you on the 7th. If you'll notice at the top, you'll see stars here. Those stars are critical blanks. Must have the stars filled in, because I cannot determine whether it's a suspect or a prospect, and neither can you or anyone else, if you don't give me the proper information. I have to know what the asking price is from the seller. Of course, the seller is the only one that can give you that answer. I want to know what they think it's worth by simply asking them, what do you think it would appraise for if we had it appraised right now? And then I want you to do a little bit of work to tell me what you think it's worth. You can go on any number of sites like Trulia or Zillow or any number of the free sites to pull up some comps. Look for some properties that are similar to the subject, and just put a couple of numbers. That's all I want here from you, is a couple of numbers. And don't worry about being exact. Don't worry about getting it wrong. Just do the best you can to give me your idea of what you think the property is worth, so I can see how it compares to what the seller thinks the property is worth. That's pretty important to me. You'll see why on the 7th. Now down here is very important. I must have the loan amount, and I must have the payment. I'll also need to know whether it's PITI and whether the payment is current or in arrears. And if it's in arrears, about how far behind, how many dollars would it take to bring it current. Now, guys and gals, this is a critical block. If you bring me this sheet and you don't have anything in here, there's nothing I can do with it. There's nothing anyone can do with it, because whether this is a deal or not a deal will totally hinge on this loan amount and how it compares to the asking price, and the payment and how it compares to what's marketable and what's not. And of course, if it's in arrears, that might change the whole deal completely. So I have to know if it's in arrears. Now, very few of the people that you call are going to be in arrears. I'll tell you that right now. Our business is not built around people that are in foreclosure, are behind on their payments. In fact, most of the people we buy or control houses from today, their credit is absolutely excellent. You're going to see how this sheet could easily be worth $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to you. I suggest you bring as many of them as you can, because we're in and out of these deals in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, and we don't touch them, we don't lay a finger on them, we don't rehab them, we don't do any of those things that people think are involved in real estate. These are quick, easy in and outs. That's why we can do 6 to 12 of them a month. So, Kirsten, if you'll scroll that up here a little bit for me. Once we get past the loan section here, now we get into the really critical part of the property information sheet. If you'll notice here, there are 3 blocks with questions on them. If, it says right here, if the asking price and the loan amount are within $35,000, ask the seller, will you sell the house for what you owe on it? If the answer is yes, my friend, you just got a free house. And I'll tell you what that means when we talk on the 7th. You've probably got a deal if this comes back yes. In the center block, it says if there's a mortgage on it, ask this question. If we get a grip on the price and we accept all responsibility for the repairs, would you consider a lease purchase? If this comes back yes, you've probably got a lease option deal. So I'll help you figure out whether you want it or whether you don't want it. And then of course if it comes back no, just follow the line down and ask the next question that's right on the sheet. And same here, I've set this up so that it's pretty easy for you to follow the script regardless of what the seller's answer is. But over here, this one, if it's free and clear. Now of course if they say they don't have a loan, you know it's free and clear. So you go over here and you ask, will you consider taking your equity in monthly payments? If you get a yes, you've got an owner financing deal brewing. If you get a no, then it'll go down and take you to the lease option question. Either way, I want a yes or a no, and I only need one of the blocks answered yes or a no. So either we're going to do this one because the loan and the asking is close, or we're going to do this one because there's more equity in it, but it's got a mortgage, or we're going to do this one because it's free and clear. Either way, got to have a yes or a no circled on one of those 3 blocks in order to process it. And if I don't have it, it's an incomplete lead. And I don't know whether the seller is motivated enough to even bother calling. If we get a yes here, then the seller should be called. And that's where I'm going to show you what to do when you make the call and how to turn it into a deal very, very quickly. So again, I need the stars filled out at the top, and I need a yes or a no in one of these 3 blocks right here. You'll go ahead and scroll it up. Here's the bottom of it, and this is all of it. I'd like to know the bedrooms and the baths and the number of square feet. I'd like to know if it needs repairs, and if it does, is it a major rehab, or is it just a minor little updating or whatever? And when do they want to move? The rest of this is kind of self-explanatory, but vacant or occupied is kind of important as well, because we're always going to have more motivated sellers if their houses are vacant. Now guys, the higher price range you call these in, the better. I would much rather you bring me $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 houses than I would the $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 houses. I learned a long time ago, the more dollars you waller and the more stick to you, and your risk is no more dealing in the higher priced houses than in the lower priced houses, because I'm going to show you how to make money without using your money, without using your credit, and absolutely no risk. So I don't really care what your background is, what your experience is, what your financial condition is now. I promise you by the time you get through with this one-day seminar, you're going to be on fire, and you're going to see why so many people around the country right now are making so much money working these FSBOs, largely because of this great tool that I've created to help them get to the bottom line as to whether they should follow up or not. Now, if you don't know where to go call these folks, here's where I'd call. Go on Craigslist. You'll find ads there. Go on every free website you can get to, and also look for sale by owner signs in front of houses. You won't need to make but a handful of calls, and you'll have this completely filled out and you can bring them to class. The more of them you bring, the better chance you got of getting deals, because I'm going to personally look at every single one of them before we leave that room that day. So bring as many as you can call between now and then. Now, if you get a no and a no, or no and a no, honestly, there's not much I can do with it. So I'm really more interested in the ones where you get a yes. And you're wondering, well gosh, how many people do I got to call to get a yes? The answer here around my office, about 60% of the FSBOs that are called are a yes. And by the way, you will not be calling them for long. A virtual assistant is going to do that for you, and we'll discuss that on the 7th. So I want you to do it on the front end. I want you to experience it. Bring as many of these as you possibly can, and we'll see if we can't get you a deal done. And I got a goodie for you. If you'll bring at least one of these property information sheets in, completely filled out, scroll that back down again, Kirsten. Let me make sure they know what that means. If I get a yes or a no in one of these 3 blocks, and I get my stars filled out, I'm going to give you one of these I Buy Houses t-shirts. You get that just for bringing the completed property information sheet in. So help me help you. Bring as many of these in as you can, and let me take a look at them and get a shirt, and I'll see you on November the 7th in Ohio.